Hey guys, what is up and welcome to my channel. It's a Hardback Life. My name is Jordan and today I'm going to be talking about my June TBR. Now I know we are halfway through June already, actually a little bit more than halfway, but I still want to share what I am planning on reading. I also want to talk about what I have read so far. Let me start off by saying that this book is a little, this TBR is a little late because I was on vacation at the beginning of June, from June 9th to June 14th, and I've just been enjoying my 2 extra days of vacation. I go back to work tomorrow, and on Father's Day, which sucks, but it's whatever. But yeah, I go back to work tomorrow, and yeah, I've been enjoying my time away from work, but it's okay. I gotta make money, so I'm gonna deal with it. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so the first book that I want to talk about is a cookbook, believe it or not. This is Magnolia Table, a collection of recipes for gathering by none other than Miss Joanna Gaines. I'm a huge fan of Chip and Joanna Gaines and just obviously their renovation shows, and now they have a whole network called the Magnolia Network. And I just love the whole network because they have so many different kinds of people who they feature on their show, who give you tips and tricks on how to do certain things. And Joanna Gaines really has a passion for cooking, and so she's really been embracing that for her just for her interests. And I actually found this at my Goodwill, the store that I work at, and I was able to shop because it was Employee Appreciation Weekend, and someone miraculously donated this. So thank you, because one, I need to learn how to cook, and I've already started reading it. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. Next, we're going to talk about a book that I have started in the last few days, and I am more than halfway through it, and I'm loving it. That book is An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. This book is about 2 main characters. We have Laya, who is a slave, and Elias, who is a soldier. And what they have in common is neither of them is free. And what is happening in the story is our 2 main characters are both struggling because one of them is basically, she's a slave, and she is partnering up with the resistance because her brother was taken by the Marshall Empire, who our other main character is part of that group. And things get really crazy for both of our main characters, because one of them, like I said, the slave girl, is Laya, is trying to be undercover as a spy and also trying not to get found out, and the other one is dealing with issues of deserting, because he doesn't exactly agree with the things his people does and stuff like that. And so far this book is fantastic. I think it's going to be a 5-star book for me, and I think I'm going to love this series. It's a quartet, so fingers crossed. And I will do a review on this book at some point. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is, if I can get to it, These Violent Delights. For some reason I couldn't read when I Read that. These Violent Delights. This is a Romeo and Juliet inspired fantasy. And let me just tell you straight up, this has me nervous because one, I am not the biggest fan of Romeo and Juliet, the play, because I've been in it and I've also read it. Yeah, so for those who don't know, I also do a lot of acting kind of stuff. I haven't done it in a while, but like, that's been a passion of mine. And yeah, I'm a little nervous because I don't particularly love the story of Romeo and Juliet. So, we'll see if I like this or not. Okay, this next book, I caved, y'all. I freaking caved when choosing to read this. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've always been curious about her books because I don't hate romance fantasy. I mean, I read a lot of Sarah J. Maas, so that tells you I don't hate romance fantasy. And like, also, I've read other romance fantasy centered books. I mostly read books that are fantasy with a little romance sprinkled in here and there. But Sarah J. Maas was like my go-to author for romance fantasy if I wanted to go there. And now I'm choosing to try a different author. And I don't know too much about this series. I'm going to go into it blind. So, yeah. And I know there's a 5th book about to come out for this series. And there's also another spin-off series called A Light in the Flame. Or no, is it A Flesh and Fire? It's A Flesh and Fire, I think. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so the next book I want to talk about is a buddy read. And that is The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. From what I know about this, it's about dragon riders who go to an academy. And there's some romance fantasy elements in here. So I'm looking forward to that. I've heard a lot of great things about this. And there's some negative reviews I've heard about this. But I'm looking forward to it because a lot of my friends have loved it. And we're reading this over at the Atlantis Discord, which is run by my friend Kisti from Kisti Reads. And then also her friend Kristen runs the Discord called the Atlantis Discord, like I said. And I hope to finish this before the end of the month because I really, really, really want to read it. I've heard a lot of great things, like I said. The next book is called Wild is the Witch by Rachel Griffin. Rachel Griffin wrote one of my favorite books that I read within the last 2 years called The Nature of Witches. And this is another book about witches, which is cool. So in this one, we have our main character, what is his name? Actually her name, it's a girl, I'm sorry. Well, our main character's name is Iris. Iris is a witch, and she needs to keep it a secret that she's a witch, because if a lot of the humans found out, she would be obviously persecuted and a lot of issues would happen. So she hides that from the world. Only a few people know, other witches. And she meets a boy who she doesn't necessarily like, and he doesn't necessarily like her at first. And he doesn't know she's a witch. I think he doesn't like witches. And she inadvertently puts a curse on him. She writes the curse, but yeah, she writes the curse, and then when she's about to erase it, a bird comes up and takes the curse, and so now she's got to take the curse, like chase down the bird, and just keep the curse from spreading and all that stuff. And also the boy who the curse was against is helping her do it without realizing that he is in trouble, kind of. And yeah, so there's a whole lot of stuff about this book that I'm probably not as clear on, but I do want to read this so bad because I loved the nature of witches. And I can't wait to dive into this one. Okay. Next book I want to talk about is Charlie Bone and the Castle of Mirrors. This is the 4th book in the Children of the Red King series. And if you've been watching my channel, you know this is a middle grade fantasy that I loved as a child. It wasn't completed when I was a kid, but obviously I fell away from it. And as the years went by, the series did get complete, or did get completed. And I've eventually been collecting the books. I really want all of them in hardback, but I have some in hardback and some in paperback. It's kind of a hard series to find. And when I've found them, like at other Goodwills and stuff, I've just grabbed them because I'm like, oh my god. It's not easy to find these, like I said. And I can't give you all the details because this is the 4th book. So maybe I will do a just background of the series and tell you how much I'm liking it or loving it or hating it. Which, spoiler alert, I'm loving it. And I'm so glad to be back in this world. So, yeah, I will definitely give you a background of the series. And if you are parents, this is a good series to get your kids hooked on. Or even yourself. So, I actually am going to split this into 2 parts. So, this first TBR video is going to be centered around the books that are non-LGBTQ+, and then the other half will be centered around books that are LGBTQ+, that I am reading for the month of June. I just decided to change my mind, because I don't want this video to be super long. Alright, this book, Fires of Heaven, I already completed it. It's the 5th book in the Wheel of Time. This was part of the TBR for this month because I didn't quite finish it in May, but I finished it at the beginning of June, and spoiler alert, I didn't necessarily love it, and I will give you more on the deets about that at a later time. I was going to say, I seem to have misplaced the 6th book, and that leads me into the next book in the Wheel of Time, Lord of Chaos. This is the 6th book of the 14-book series, Wheel of Time. This has slightly less pages than the Fires of Heaven, but I'm enjoying this so far. I'm like 5 chapters in, and I'm enjoying it. This is 900 plus pages, and so yeah, it's going to be a doozy to read, but I think I can actually finish this book in the month of June because I'm reading it via audiobook mostly. And by the way, I'm reading these books as part of a read-along from Kate the Literary Apothecary. She's doing a read-along for this series, and I'm enjoying reading these books. I've always wanted to read The Wheel of Time, but I've been super intimidated over the years, and I finally just buckled down and started reading them with this group of people that I'm reading the books with. And like I said, I'm really enjoying it, and I cannot wait to get to the end because that'll be a huge accomplishment for me, like knowing that I've read all 14 books in the Wheel of Time. It was my TBR for the non-LGBTQ plus books. Stay tuned for the next video on books that I plan on reading for the rest of the month that are LGBTQ plus centered, or the author is LGBTQ plus, and so what have you. Anyway, you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. That'll get you caught up on any content that you've missed from me and also get you caught up on content that, that I am putting out. I'm going to try my hardest to put out more content frequently. So, fingers crossed for that. Can't really do the fingers crossing thing because my fingers can't do that. Anyway, but yeah, fingers crossed. And yeah, you guys have a great, great day. Bye.